Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Trevor. Well, that's not my birth name. My birth name is Rebecca, but Trevor is the name bestowed upon me by my bros. You see, many years ago, one member of a group of my girlfriends was having some trouble gathering confidence to get out on the dating scene for the first time in a long time and meet new people in an active way. Despite the fact, she was having this trouble, despite the fact that she is gorgeous, extremely smart, wildly funny. She accepted that we all thought of her in that way, but she had trouble truly accepting it enough to feel secure approaching other people to date. In a moment of frustration, I recommended that as a thought experiment, she take on the persona of a mediocre white man, because all of us had experienced times, usually in the workplace, where it seemed that certain people had a lot of confidence relative to their skill level, and that confidence often actually made up for the lack of skill. It was a positive trait that came naturally to them, but we suspected it could be learned. Our friend wanted to give it a go, and so we christened her Chad. She wanted company, so off we went, duly renamed to the bars, where I'm happy to say Chad experienced great success. For privacy's sake, I'll just leave it there. I'm thinking of all this now because, well, in part, we continue to this day to refer to each other by our bro names, but also because of a new study that specifically looks at the role of confidence in one of my favorite topics, conspiracy theories. But in this case, that confidence is not necessarily a good thing. Overconfidently conspiratorial. Conspiracy believers are dispositionally overconfident and massively overestimate how much others agree with them, was published recently in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. The lead author is Gordon Pennycook, a psychology professor at Cornell University, and whose work I have enjoyed previously. Way back in 2015, my friend and statistician Jamie Bernstein related another study he had completed in which he showed participants various supposed aphorisms from Deepak Chopra alongside randomly generated nonsensical statements made by an online Deepak Chopra quote generator. He found that, as Jamie put it, people who are more likely to rate a meaningless statement as profound are the same people who are more likely to have high religiosity, believe in the supernatural, believe in conspiracy theories, and think that alternative medicines such as homeopathy and Reiki are totally legit. Additionally, the people who generally do better on analytical tests also tend to be more skeptical when presented with meaningless sentences made up of buzzwords. Now, Jamie pointed out she had some issues with this study, like how it conflates religiosity with a belief in entities like angels and demons, which would actually preclude a lot of genuinely religious people who do not believe in angels and demons. She also pointed out that there's a good chance that you could get a similar result if you showed more sciencey sounding quotes to the skeptic-minded people and told them that they came from Carl Sagan, a hypothesis that, as far as I can tell, has yet to be tested, which is unfortunate because that could get really funny. I've also since found this rebuttal to that study that suggests that people could genuinely find profundity in otherwise meaningless made-up quotes because, that's just how the human mind works. We can make certain associations, and maybe those people are just more creative. Maybe they are genuinely getting something out of these quotes, even though the rest of us think that these quotes are meaningless, and even though they just came from a computer mashing a bunch of words together. Anyway, in this new study, Pennycook surveyed more than 4,000 American adults across 8 different studies, asking them how they feel about certain conspiracy theories, and then testing them on their numeracy and their perception. He found that conspiracy theory believers were consistently overly confident in their performance on those tests. And that was regardless of how they actually did on the test, as well as regardless of their analytical thinking abilities, their narcissism, or their desire to be unique little snowflakes. The more fringe the conspiracy theory they believed, the more overly confident the respondent was. The even more interesting finding, in my opinion, is that conspiracy believers, particularly overconfident ones, massively overestimated up to 4 times how much others agree with them. Although conspiratorial claims were believed by a majority of participants only 12% of the time, believers thought themselves to be in the majority 93% of the time. This was evident even when asked to rate agreement among counter-partisans, indicating that conspiracists are genuinely unaware that their beliefs are on the fringe. I find that fascinating in part because in popular culture, think the X-Files for instance, conspiracy theorists are often portrayed as those who are proud to hold special knowledge that remains hidden from the normies. And I think, based on my own anecdotal observations that could very well be wrong, that there was some truth to that portrayal. People like Alex Jones and Art Bell before him used to kind of brag about knowing the secret things that the elites were getting up to and lament that the rest of the world was too coddled or too stupid to get it. Like, I know that woke is a right-wing anathema these days, but back then, they would wonder when everyone else was going to wake up to the realization that there are lizard people running the earth or what have you. I don't know if that general attitude was ever actually the majority amongst conspiracy theorists, and if it was, if it has since changed over time. But I found out about Pennycook's latest study from this article from my friend Jennifer Willett. She wrote about it for Ars Technica, and that's also where I noticed the additional critique of that initial study. Willett interviewed Pennycook, and she asked him how his results jibe with conspiracy theorists' desire to be unique, to which Pennycook, I think, had a good reply. In general, people who believe conspiracies often have contrary beliefs. We're working with a population where coherence is not to be expected. They say that they're in the majority, but it's never a strong majority. They just don't think that they're in a minority when it comes to the belief. Take the case of the Sandy Hook conspiracy, where adherents believe it was a false flag operation. In one sample, 8% of people thought that this was true. That 8% thought 61% of people agreed with them. So they're way off. They really, really miscalibrated. But they don't say 90%, it's 60%. Enough to be special, but not enough to be on the fringe where they actually are. I could have asked them to rank how smart they are relative to others or how unique they thought their beliefs were, and they would have answered high on that. But those are kind of mushy self-concepts. When you ask a specific question that has an objectively correct answer in terms of the percent of people in the sample that agree with you, it's not close. I know in the past I've talked about studies that show conspiracy theorists are really good at their ability to hold 2 conflicting ideas at once. I mean, that is a human trait, but conspiracy theorists truly take it to the next level. For instance, this study that showed that the more people believed that Princess Diana faked her own death, the more they believed that she was purposely murdered. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that maybe conspiracy theorists today manage to think of themselves both as uniquely smart and perceptive, while also thinking that a slim majority of the world agrees with them. Willett also pointed to another study from Pennycook that I missed. Last year, he published a study showing that a chatbot could talk people out of believing in conspiracy theories. You can even play with the debunk bot to test your own beliefs, though first you do have to prove you aren't a robot. No robots talking to other robots. But yeah, he found that this specially tuned bot reduced participants' belief in their chosen conspiracy theory, which included the JFK assassination, aliens, the Illuminati, and topical conspiracies about COVID-19 and the 2020 US presidential election, by 20% on average, and this effect persisted undiminished for at least 2 months. Willett asked Pennycook if his bot from last year's study could help the overconfident conspiracy believers in this study, and he was pessimistic. The chatbot worked because the people in last year's study wanted to engage with it and talk about their pet conspiracy. But extremely overconfident people aren't like that. The entire problem with people who are overly confident is that they go into a discussion assuming they're right, and any countering facts must, by definition, be incorrect because they're so smart and so right. Pennycook suggests that the only way to change their minds might be to do sort of a propagandistic sit them downs with their eyes open and try to deconvert them. Yes, I'm sure the conspiracy theories are going to love that quote. They're signing up for the procedure right now. Get those toothpicks ready. I was happy to see that Pennycook refuses to castigate overconfidence across the board. It doesn't have to be maladaptive. It's maladaptive when it comes to beliefs, but you want people to think that they will be successful when starting new businesses. A lot of them will fail, but you need some people in the population to take risks that they wouldn't take if they were thinking about it in a more rational way. So it can be optimal at a population level, but maybe not at an individual level. And I couldn't agree more, which is why I say, if you have a friend group with a few underconfident people, don't let this research turn you off from encouraging them on a population level to, adopt an entirely different, more privileged, and dare I say, cockier persona. Because it worked for Chad. Just be sure to bring them back to earth once they've got their new business up and running, or they've got that person at the bar's phone number written down. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.